Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's been an interesting week. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, to start with, opened in the US, and it's getting some quite decent reviews. It's also getting a lot of controversial reviews with comments like, how can they do this? It's ruining my childhood. Oh, get stuffed. Seriously. I mean, I watch a lot of old TV series that I remember from my childhood. The classic one I can remember that illustrates the point is probably Lost in Space. I used to absolutely adore Lost in Space. I remember so well coming home from school, going to my nan's every Thursday, going to pay her paper bill at Colson's, the newsagents, picking up one of the ex jukebox records. Remember the ones with the middles missing and those funny little centres? Getting one of those, or a book or something like that, and then coming back and she'd make me tea while I watched Lost in Space every week. Absolutely loved it. Happy memories of it. I watch it now, and I still love it. I will still watch it. But yes, the special effects are what you would call a little bit shonky. The acting probably isn't the best. I remember it being a lot better than it probably was. But the point is, it's a happy memory for me. And nothing will change that. And watching it now, I don't sit there whining, going, "Oh my God, it's ruined my childhood watching this again." I love it. I absolutely love it. So I don't get where these people are coming from. How can watching a movie ruin your childhood? Seriously? There's calls to get it outlawed and banned and stuff like this because it's, tainting people's memories. Honestly. I mean, to illustrate it perfectly, I've been wanting to watch a movie called The Innocents for quite a while. Not the 1960s black and white ghost story starring Deborah Carr, which I think was based on The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. It was just a ghost story. Brilliant, brilliant movie. This one is about a group of kids. It's a foreign movie, so it's subtitled, who discover that they've got powers, certain powers. And I started watching this. The idea fascinated me. And I got about 10 minutes into it, and there is the most horrific scene involving a cat. I am a cat lover. I sat through that scene and thought, oh, I can't stand any more of this. This is absolutely horrible. So I basically turned it off. Sorry, I've got my notes here. I turned it off, and knowing full well that I will not come back to that movie, I will not watch it again. I deleted it from the hard drive. I've also deleted it from my watch list on Amazon Prime, which I was waiting for it to come on there to have a proper look at it. I've deleted it from there. Do I want it banned? No, absolutely not. There are people out there that will enjoy the movie. I'm sure that the rest of the film, minus that scene, is probably very good. But it's just not for me. But do I want it banned? No. There are people out there that will enjoy it, that will like it, that will take it for what it is. It's just not for me. So that's basically what I say to people who want to get Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey banned. It's not going to happen. Mark, you posted an interesting one. It looks like we're going to be getting quite a few of these films. I don't know whether this was a spoof one or not. Donald Duck gone quackers. I mean, it's no sillier than Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, but the poster for it looked absolutely excellent. I wouldn't mind a look at that if it ever does actually happen. The other movie that's opened this week in the UK is Cocaine Bear. Now, I've been talking about Cocaine Bear for months, since I first heard about it. It opened in cinemas on Friday, I think. I've listened and looked at quite a few reviews of it, and most of them, I have to say, are very, very favourable. It's a it sounds like a cracking film. As you all probably know by now, it's supposed to be based on a true story. Having read what I've read about it, it's more, I would say, it's inspired by true events. I mean, it's pretty well known now that the actual bear, the real bear, was found dead after ingesting a large amount of cocaine, which was dumped out of a plane. But the bear was found dead, and obviously the filmmakers have taken liberties with that and basically said that's a brilliant idea, but what if the bear had survived and gone on a cocaine-fueled killing spree, a rampage? And they've turned that into what sounds like an absolutely amazing film. The full true story actually came out, well, for me, I listened to Mark Commode's and Simon Mayo's Take podcast yesterday, and he tells the actual true story. So there's an actual video on YouTube coupled with the review, which I'll stick on the group later. That'll tell you the actual true story, what really happened with the bear. But yeah, the reviews are coming out and they are looking good. There's a review gone on the group this morning from Rick, Old AF. Nice one, Rick. Looks like you've been to see it. He thoroughly enjoyed it. And I get that. I know for a fact I'm going to enjoy it as well. It's going to be a cracking movie. Obviously, it's one of those that you're not going to take seriously. Everybody is basically saying that it's good, gory fun, and that's pretty much all you can take it as. So yeah, I really, really still look forward to Cocaine Bear and cannot wait to get a look at that one. It just makes you wonder now, because there was another one. Jason Kerr, our Ginger Ninja, posted a poster on the group, Attack of the Meth Gator. Yeah, quite. Now, whether this is an Australian movie, I don't know. Is that where you've got it from, Jace? I don't know. But it sounds intriguing. I've not read anything about the actual movie yet. I didn't click on the link to get the details of it, but the poster itself looked absolutely amazing. And it just makes me wonder, are we now in for a load of movies, basically a whole new universe of animals being off their tits on drugs? Maybe, I don't know. But I mean, it's a cracking idea. But you just know that if Cocaine Bear does as well as it seems to be doing at the moment at the box office, it will almost certainly get some kind of maybe a sequel or another film in a similar vein. I think the director has already said she'd love to do one called Cocaine Shark. So I think she was joking. I hope she was, because that would just be a little bit too silly, wouldn't it? But yeah, really looking forward to Cocaine Bear, and thanks for sticking that review on, Rick. I'll be putting some more on a little bit later, just to give you all a flavour of what they're saying about it. But it's coming out very well. I didn't think it would when I first read the details of it months ago and put the poster on. I thought, I'm going to love this, but everybody else is going to hate it. They're just going to say it's bloody stupid. But no, it's not. It's coming out on top, so we'll see how that goes. Jason, your Sunday afternoon matinee, I've got it right this week. The reason I got last week's wrong, well, because I'm All Right Jack was actually at the top of the poster for Two Way Stretch, referring to From the Makers Of. So that's why I got that wrong. So God knows. But last week's was King Kong. What an absolute classic. There have been several incarnations of King Kong, but to me, and obviously to you, the best is the 1933 original. It's 90 years old and it is still a brilliant movie. I believe Ray Harryhausen, who created the Sinbad movies, Jason and the Argonauts, 20 Million Miles to Earth, Earth versus the Flying Saucers, he cited that film as one of his main inspirations for getting into stop motion photography and stop motion animation, which is what made his name with films like Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, Golden Voyage of Sinbad, Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, Jason and the Argonauts, blah blah. But King Kong is absolutely brilliant. I watched it that afternoon as well and thoroughly enjoyed it yet again for about the 100th time. The only other one I've really seen is the Peter Jackson remake, the 3-hour one. I believe there's an extended version, which I really wouldn't mind taking a look at, seeing as I haven't seen that movie for quite a while. The other one I want to take a look at is the 1976 Dino De Laurentiis version, starring, I think it's Jeff Bridges and Jessica Lange. I really wouldn't mind a look at that, because I remember seeing trailers to that many years ago at the cinema and thinking that looked awesome, and it is now out on 4K, so I get the feeling I'm going to hit the buy it now button on that one anytime now. But that was a cracking choice for a Sunday afternoon matinee. Looking forward to seeing what you're watching today. You've also been to Freak Treats for the first and last time. I dared to question it. You basically said that you were sick of all the geeks standing around reading things out to each other in there. I went in first thing in the morning and it was deserted. There were people just starting to come in as I left, after I'd had a bit of a 10-minute meander around there. So I had it quite good, but I think that would have wound me up. And yes, you're quite right when you said to remind you of why I don't go to the cinema anymore. It's for a very similar reason. Other people, basically. So yeah, I kind of get that. It's a fascinating place though, isn't it? I don't know whether you recognised any of the stuff down the right hand side, but none of that made any sense to me. But the masks and the stuff at the back, and the figures, etc., on the left hand side, and the t-shirts, I thought were great. And when I'm down there next, I will be buying one of those Jason Lives t-shirts, almost certainly. But if you do get the chance to go and have a look, I would definitely recommend doing it. Just do it for probably first thing early in the morning, to avoid all the geeks, which is actually what the place is for anyway. So yeah. But what was that flash forward all about with the 3 Stallone movies? I've been puzzling over that all week. Is this a new thread that you've got in mind? I was just really curious to find out what it was. Callie and Guy, I watched your Transformers Bayverse podcast. That was a great rant at the beginning, by the way. I am very curious to find out whether you know who it is that's been disliking your videos. For those that don't know, Calico Productions have been getting dislikes on their video, which kind of affects the algorithm and affects the viewing figures and stuff like that. It's not something I've ever been into. I mean, my viewing figures dropped last week to in the 40s, I believe, 45 or 46, and I think it was 41 the week before. It truly doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. I've got, as I've said before many times, my hardcore of people that watch pretty much every week and comment on the videos, and like and share and all this sort of thing. That's all I'm really bothered about. My subscriber are stuck on, I think, 103 I've got at the moment, and it's been like that pretty much for a few weeks. Again, I'm not really fussed. I'm not. If I get more, it's brilliant, but if not, but I did find myself wondering about why the viewing figures slipped down last week. I don't know whether it was something to do with something I said a couple of weeks ago when I was reviewing, well, not reviewing, but talking about a blaxploitation movie that I'd seen on somebody else's video, and I used a rather unfortunate term, which may have backfired on me. I don't know. I was getting something like 80-90 views up until I did that, so maybe it's that, I don't know, but who the hell cares? It really doesn't matter, as long as the people that matter to me are still watching and I'm still keeping them entertained for 30 minutes a week. Who cares? So, but I do get why you want to find out who it is. I think I'd be very curious. I don't look, as I've said before. I don't really want to know who's disliking content and stuff like that. It really doesn't matter to me. But to the podcast, what a brilliant podcast! And I say this for a reason. I went into this knowing absolutely nothing about it, and to me, the sign of a really good podcast is when you go into it. When I go into it, I know nothing whatsoever about the subject matter. I have no interest in the subject matter as such. I've never seen a single Transformers movie ever, and I came out of that after 30 minutes, basically wanting to take a look at the Transformers series. So as far as I'm concerned, your job is done with that. I've always said the same thing, that if I can inspire people to take a look at movies that I remember from many years ago that they've probably never heard of. I know I introduced Chris to the Devils a while ago, and I know a couple of other people have sort of messaged me and said, really glad you introduced me to this one, it's a cracking movie. That's what it's all about. It's introducing people to films that they would never normally entertain watching, and that to me is the sign of a cracking podcast, is that you did that. In 30 minutes you got me interested in Transformers, which I've never even thought of before. One thing I'm curious about, what are you comparing these movies to? I presume there was an animated series in the 80s. What were you thinking of, comparison wise? I'm just curious because with the X-Men, I won't watch any of the movies until I've seen the animated series, and I would love to do the same with Transformers, go back to the beginning and start from there. So if you could tell me or let me know what you were comparing the movies to. I know you enjoyed the first one, and I think Bumblebee got quite a good write-up from you. I saw a little bit of Bumblebee a few weeks ago. I didn't realise what it was. I'm going back probably a couple of months. It was on one of the channels. I was channel hopping and I came across it, looked at what it was and thought, this actually looks quite good. And I meant to watch it but didn't. I'm glad I didn't now, because I really want to go back to the start. So let me know where I begin with Transformers. But yeah, brilliant podcast. Really, really enjoyed that. And I would say I love those scripts that you got sent. You did an interview with Eric and Julia Lewald, who were sort of paramount in creating X-Men, and they sent you scripts from, I believe, the pilot episode of X-Men the animated series, something to do with the Sentinel, Day of the Sentinel, Night of the Sentinel. What a cracking present to receive. I'd have been made up if I'd have had that through the post. And I've got something here to show you, if I can find it. Now just bear with me. This is just for you, if I can find it. Just bear with me a few seconds, guys. I saw these and immediately thought of, sorry about this. They're in here somewhere, I know they are. I've got the latest issue of Infinity, as you can see. And I spotted something in here and immediately thought of you two. Sod's law, I cannot find it. Maybe I should put. So sorry about this. I should have set the page up on here. It would have shown you exactly. Just flicking through, guys. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute. Oh, where is it? Damn it! I knew this would happen. No, it's not going to show itself wherever it is. Is that it? No. I'm so sorry, so sorry. Was it near the back? Was it? I'll come back. What I'll do is I'll take a screenshot of it, or take a picture of it, and I will send it to you. But the Royal Mail are issuing a series of stamps. To do with X-Men. They look absolutely brilliant. So what I'll do is I'll take a picture of them later and tag you in it. I was hoping to show them on this, but preparation is as good as usual, as you can tell. But I'll let you know on that one later. Steve McCartney, your Let's Talk Criterion video for March. I've got that lined up to watch today, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming out in March. Dave Oliver, The Pope's Exorcist official trailer. What a cracking movie that looks. I'm really, really looking forward to that. I know we always say this with horror movies, and you know they very rarely pan out to be what you think they're going to be. Skinamarink is one, I think, for you anyway. I haven't watched it yet, but that really does look amazing. So I'm looking forward to that. Dave Lowe, you put let's say a post on to do with the Superman 5-film Steelbook 4K collection. £130. Really? Even Chris turned his nose up at it, and that surprised me. Mr. No Expense Spared. But that's too rich for my blood. I've got the Blu-ray box set, which I think has got all 5 films on, including the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2. And that's enough for me. I really, really don't need to go into 4K on that one unless there are significant differences with the picture and the sound, which I can't see there being, with it being a movie that's sort of nearly 50 years old. But if anybody does end up investing in that, please let me know whether it's worth £130. I sincerely doubt it. I know why Dave would be interested in it, basically because it's a steelbook and he loves his steelbooks. And it does look a handsome package, I've got to admit, it looks great. But 130 quid, I certainly won't be paying that. Let me just move my notes up a bit here. Now then, Oscar movies. I set myself a task a few weeks ago to watch all the Oscar contenders for Best Picture before the Oscars, which I believe is either next week or the week after. I'm not going to make it. Mainly because they're all so bloody long. They're such a slog. Listen to this, hang on. Tar, the Kate Blanchett movie, 2 hours and 38 minutes. Everything Everywhere All at Once, 2 hours and 19 minutes. All Quiet on the Western Front, 2 hours and 23 minutes. The Fabelmans, which I'm hopefully going to be watching at the end of this morning, 2 hours and 31 minutes. Elvis, which was, I have to say, absolutely brilliant, loved it, 2 hours and 38 minutes. Come on, guys, give us a chance. Why are all Oscar movies so bloody long? I might stand a chance with the Banshees of Inisherin because that's just under 2 hours. I'm looking forward to that one. But you virtually had to set aside a day to watch these others. They're just so long. So I don't think I'm going to make it as far as watching them before the Oscars. I will watch them after. I will get a couple of them watched, but at, near enough 3 hours, highly unlikely. Now what have I got here? Arachnophobia, the remake. I read yesterday that it goes into production any day now. The director, can't remember his name, is it James Landon, has just finished his previous film and he's really, really looking forward to getting into the Arachnophobia remake. There are many, many things already in place. Certain things have already been done. So it's coming. I can't wait for it. Hopefully it'll be this year, and it won't be one of these that gets finished in a couple of weeks and then put off to for release until 2024. But hopefully it'll be this year. What have I got here? Oh God, elevated horror. Somebody tell me what is the point of it. I looked up the definition of it. Basically, what elevated horror is horror with sort of deep and meaningful things going on with it. Case in point is a movie we watched last night called The Strays. It's new on Netflix if you want to take a look at it. The trailer looked brilliant. I put it on last night after the pizza. It starts with a young woman explaining to somebody over the phone basically how crap her life is. She lost a job by the look of it some time ago. She's on the bottom of the housing ladder. She basically decides to do a runner and relocate in a tiny village. Now this movie has certain similarities between movies like The Stepford Wives, Jordan Peele's Get Out. It's in 3 segments. The first segment is very Stepford Wives-ish. A woman living what looks like an idyllic, perfect life, husband, 2 kids. She starts to see people hanging around, looking sinister. So the first third of it is basically introducing these these sinister figures. The second act is seen through the eyes of the sinister figures, and a week earlier, basically the events leading up to the first act, but from the view of these people. The third act is where, for me, the whole thing just fell apart, and it finished very, very abruptly. The third act is truly horrible. I thought it was nasty. It's a shame because the movie itself was really, really well done. The first third was a little bit plodding, but I could see roughly where it was going. The second half reeled me in, and I thought, I'm really looking forward to finding out what the hell this is all about. And guess what? It was another one that just finished abruptly with no explanation whatsoever as to where it was going to go from there. There was rumour of a sequel. I bloody hope not. As I say, it's a shame because I really, really did enjoy the first sort of 2/3 of it. But for me, the third act was just a complete car crash, and it was horrible to boot. So I will not be watching The Strays again. And to be honest, I'm getting sick of horror movies with deep and meaningfuls. Can we just have one that scares the crap out of you and you understand the ending? Most of these horror films nowadays, I'm left just scratching my head thinking, what the friggin' hell was that? Oh, elevated horror, no. I'm not in favour of it. We've decided to go back to the 70s for next week and the next few weeks with some good old-fashioned Hammer horror, Tigan horror, those anthology movies like Tales from the Crypt, The Vault of Horror, From Beyond the Grave. We're going back to basic stuff that you can just watch, enjoy, and not come away from it feeling like your brain's been mashed. That's my rant for this week. I found, very, very quickly, 5 more films that I would love to see on Blu-ray. So I'll just run through these very quickly. Never Too Young to Rock. Now this is from about 1976, possibly 1975. It's a kind of a musical, features bands like the Glitter Band, yes I know, Mud, the Rubettes, Peter Noone, Joe Lynch. I saw this many years ago. It's a cracking little film. It's bad. I mean, really, really, it's one of those so bad it's good films, but I would love to see a Blu-ray copy of that. Next one is Times Square. I know, Jason, I think you saw this on Talking Pictures a few months ago. Brilliant soundtrack, basically the tale of 2 runaway girls who become friends and start a movement. The soundtrack features, let me get this right, The Pretenders, Roxy Music, Suzi Quatro, Gary Newman, Talking Heads, Joe Jackson, The Ramones, The Cure, Patti Smith. Cracking soundtrack, brilliant movie. I believe it is out on Blu-ray, but in the US, so it wouldn't play on my machine. I doubt it anyway. Another one, sequel to my favourite movie ever, Staying Alive. Now, I believe this is getting a 4K release, but it's not. It's been announced, but I don't think they've given it a date yet. Now, I've got Saturday Night Fever probably 2 or 3 times on Blu-ray, but I haven't got this one on Blu-ray. I'm tempted to watch it again because I haven't seen this since I bought it, which must be 20 years ago. It's just one of those that sat on the shelf, but if I'm going to watch it, it's going to be on Blu-ray, so hopefully that'll get a UK release. The Devil's Triangle. This is the Vincent Price narrated documentary on the Bermuda Triangle. This is as creepy as hell, and it's mostly due to Vincent Price's narration. Now, the print of this is not brilliant. It was released, I believe, about 1974. The print is grainy, sometimes dark, so it needs a lot of clean-up work doing on it, but I would love to see a Blu-ray release of that. And the final one, Slade in Flame. Now, this is a little set that includes the CD and the DVD. I watched this a short while ago. The soundtrack is brilliant. It's basically the story of a band in Birmingham who are basically Slade, and it's them navigating the music business, which was not a nice place to be in the 70s and 80s. But this is crying out for a Blu-ray release. It's a cracking movie. this is one Mark Kermode calls the Citizen Kane of pop movies. So yeah, that's another one. So that's another 5 that aren't available on Blu-ray that should be. And the only thing I bought this week is this Forbidden Films. It's a good book. I've had a flick through it, but what's the point? But basically, it's to do with censorship and movies that had problems with the censors. So yeah, I'll be having a read of that. Obviously, I got Infinity and the new issue of SFX. Right, that's it, folks. I'm coming up to 31 minutes. This is going to click off any minute. Thanks ever so much for joining me again. Have a brilliant week. If you've liked the content, please thumbs up, subscribe, and all that sort of stuff. Thanks again for joining me, and I will see you all again next week with more of the same. Take care, folks. Ta-da.